The train groaned as it slowed into the tiny station, the iron wheels screeching against rusted tracks. Dust swirled in the late summer air, clinging to the hems of dresses and the boots of weary men. Caroline Fletcher clutched her small leather suitcase with both hands, her knuckles wide against the handle. She sat rigid, her heart pounding hard with each slowing turn of the wheels. She had never been this far west before, never seen land so wide, so endless, that the horizon seemed to swallow the sun whole. She had answered an advertisement to one of those bold little notices tucked into the back of a Boston paper: widower with child seeks respectable woman for companionship and homemaking. Reply by letter. Serious inquiries only. The words had looked at her like a lifeline, a chance to leave behind the narrow boarding house, the whispers of the other seamstresses who pitied her, the shadow of her father's debts that had left her with nothing. Caroline had never thought of herself as beautiful, not in the way women in the city were admired for their porcelain skin and fashionable curls. She was plain, soft-featured, with hair the color of chestnuts and a habit of lowering her eyes when spoken to. She often felt invisible in crowded places, a ghost walking among the living. But invisible women could answer advertisements, and invisible women could board trains bound for towns where no one knew their past. She stepped down onto the platform, the suitcase heavy in her hand. A hot wind tugged at her hat, and she pressed it down firmly, her eyes scanning the small crowd. The families reuniting, the men tipping their hats to wives, the little ones squealing as they ran into outstretched arms. Caroline's stomach turned with nerves. Would he be here? Would he know her at first glance? Her throat tightened as doubt clawed its way in. What if he looked at her and changed his mind? What if he saw her plainness, the quiet awkwardness she carried like a second skin, and realized she was not what he wanted at all? She had barely drawn a breath when she noticed him, a tall man with broad shoulders, his shirt sleeves rolled up, his skin bronzed from the sun. His face was serious, almost too serious, his jaw set as if carved from stone. Beside him stood a little girl, no older than 6, her brown braids crooked, her small hand wrapped tightly around his. Caroline's pulse quickened. That had to be him. The man gave a curt nod when their eyes met, as though confirming what had already been decided. He did not smile, not even politely. He stepped forward, the child's hand still in his, and stopped a few feet away. Miss Fletcher? His voice was low, rough with years of use. Caroline swallowed and nodded. Yes. You must be Mr. Dalton. He inclined his head slightly. This is my daughter, Emma. The little girl peeked at Caroline from behind her father's leg, her wide eyes curious but guarded. Caroline's heart softened instantly. It's a pleasure to meet you, Emma, Caroline said gently, crouching down so she was at the child's level. I like your braids. Emma blinked, then offered the smallest of smiles before ducking her face shyly. Mr. Dalton cleared his throat. We should get going. Wagons waiting. And just like that, the introductions were over. Caroline followed them, her suitcase clutched tight, her mind buzzing. She had imagined a warmer welcome, perhaps even relief in his eyes that she had come. Instead, his manner was as cool as the evening shadows creeping across the dirt road. The ride from the station was long, the wagon creaking as it rolled over uneven ground. Caroline sat across from father and daughter, the silence thick. The land stretched endlessly around them, golden fields swaying in the breeze, scattered with oak trees that stood like sentinels against the sky. It was beautiful, but it also made her feel small, swallowed up by the sheer vastness. Finally, Mr. Dalton spoke. I'll be plain with you, Miss Fletcher. I placed that notice because I need someone to help raise Emma and keep the house. It's been hard since my wife passed. Caroline nodded, her fingers twisting together in her lap. "I understand. Yeah, broken bar, I'll do my best." His eyes flicked to her briefly, assessing. "Good. That's all I ask. No tenderness, no kind words, only practicality." As if she were an arrangement he had purchased, not a woman with trembling hopes tucked inside her chest. That night, as the crickets sang outside and the prairie winds brushed against the walls of the Dalton homestead, Caroline lay awake on the narrow bed that had been prepared for her. She thought of Boston, of the train tracks that stretched like veins across the country, of the risk she had taken. For the first time, fear whispered at the edges of her thoughts. Had she made a mistake? The days that followed were filled with work. Caroline rose before dawn to help prepare breakfast, milk the cow, sweep the wooden floors. She learned where everything was kept in the kitchen, how Emma liked her porridge with a spoonful of honey, and how the laundry line caught the strongest wind on the west side of the house. But though she worked tirelessly, Mr. Dalton remained distant. He was polite, yes, but no more than that. He spoke to her as he would to a hired hand, giving instructions, offering the occasional nod of approval when chores were done well. It was Emma who softened the edges of each day. The little girl followed Caroline as she worked, her small footsteps padding after her, her questions spilling like spring water. "Why do you tie your hair like that? Did you ever have a doll? Do you know how to make pies?" Caroline answered every question, her heart lifting each time Emma smiled. One afternoon, as they sat together on the porch peeling apples, Emma leaned closer. Her voice was barely above a whisper, shy and earnest. "Miss Fletcher, a broken bar, can you be my mommy?" The knife in Caroline's hand paused mid-peel. Her breath caught, her chest tightening with a swell of emotion so sudden it nearly broke her. She turned to the little girl, whose eyes shone with innocent hope, and for the first time since stepping off the train, Caroline felt something shift inside her. Not rejection, not invisibility, belonging.